it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So glad you're here. And if you're new to the channel, my name's Cody. So first off, I want to say thank you to everyone who's been commenting regularly on this restoration project. You guys have been so great giving me tips and hints on these Cherokees. Also commenting on your own Jeeps. It's just been really great to get the feedback, and it's all been positive. So thank you to everyone who's been doing so. It really means a lot, and it's making the project worthwhile. Secondly, guys, if you like what I do on the channel here, I know you're going to like the channels down in the description below. So if you have a second after this video, go check out those channels. Also, just want to give you a little bit of an update here. The Jeep is almost done, but we got a couple things left to do. We got a cooling system flush, also got to replace a seatbelt, oddly enough, and just a couple cosmetic details. But let's get started with that, and we'll just kind of move down the line and start checking things off the list. Okay, so I guess I'll start with the lower radiator hose. And it's a pretty long reach to get to that hose clamp, but just start by taking off the bottom one. Okay, so it's a couple of minutes later and it's still draining, but just look at how dirty this coolant was. But this is only about a gallon, if that. And so I think the whole, and there's probably more in the block, but I think the cooling system had about half the coolant it should have had in the first place. So what I got to do now is shove a garden hose through the upper radiator hose and basically flush out the whole radiator. Okay, so this is the water coming out of the radiator. So I think we're good there. Now it's just time to flush out the block. So there's still a lot of junk in this coolant reservoir. Not a lot, but just some. So I'm going to take this stuff off and clean it out. I pulled off this heater core hose and just started jamming water through this top nozzle. And real mucky water is coming out of this hose. Okay, so it took about 2 to 3 gallons to fill it up. I'm guessing 1 gallon was already in the block. It's a 12-quart cooling system. So just took some time to burp the system while running it. I didn't show that on camera because it just takes a lot of time, but everything's bolted back up all together, no leaks, so I'm good to go. However, while I was messing around with this, I noticed that the fluid level on this had gone down and down and down. So I had already messed with this off camera. I didn't think it was worth showing on camera because it's just a tiny little windshield washer motor that wasn't squirting for the front windshield here. So I replaced it for 20 bucks, but on the back, I noticed just now that the back one's leaking now. So it's only 20 bucks, but the problem is getting to it. And since I just filled up this entire reservoir, it's gonna be a little bit of a hassle, but that's okay. I've already done it once, why not do it twice? Well, I'll let you guys guess in the comments section which one is the new one, which one's the old one. Okay, so I just skipped ahead here. You'll just have to take my word for it that it wasn't fun getting it out of the Jeep. But you can see how they kind of work here. You have the little nozzle that goes to the squirters, and then your electrical connection here. I don't know what came out of here. It had like some sort of screen at the bottom or a float. I don't know if a light is supposed to illuminate on the dash when your fluid gets low, but I had to take this out. And then I can get a 21mm socket in there with a universal joint extension. And then they just unscrew like you would on any nut or bolt. Which is kind of cool. So I thought the gasket was bad. I think something in the plastic here has either split or corroded. I mean, you can tell how old this is. This is obviously original to the Jeep. Well, I got it on and took quite a bit to get it on, but trying to fish that screen back on there is harder than you'd think it would be. Just not a whole lot of room to work with. But it's ready. I'm gonna go put it back on the truck. Here's that little float I was talking about. I don't know exactly what it does. I'm guessing it just meters how much fluid is in the reservoir. Then when it hits a certain point, it probably sets a light off in the dash. It looks like it had some sort of, I don't know if that's mold or adhesive, but I'm gonna put some super glue in here just to make sure that float stays in there and doesn't clog anything up in the future. Okay, so I know the front works here. Good. And now the back. Good deal. Well, the engine bay is all done. We got the cooling system all squared away, got the windshield washer pump motors installed, and I don't see any leaks as far as I'm aware. So the engine bay is done. Time to move on to the interior. So the Jeep's interior is pretty squared away. There's not a whole lot more I need to do to it. There's some minor cosmetic flaws, but besides maybe like the window motors not being very strong or the passenger side door lock not working properly, there's not a whole lot to complain about this Jeep, especially being 35 years old. But one thing that I need to change out just for safety and being lawful on the road is the seatbelt. And I don't know if you can see that on camera, guys, but it's almost ripped in half. Not only that, but the receiver is destroyed as well. So the seatbelt latch is kind of working, but the one time I used this, I actually got stuck and I had to use a key to press down on the button. So the cap is missing, the latch isn't working right. Someone has used tape to try to get some more life out of it, but it's not safe, it's not efficient, and I think it just has to go. So plan B, I had no choice but to buy a replacement seatbelt set off eBay. Now it wasn't that much money, it was only like 46 bucks or so, so that was okay. But I have two problems with it. One is it's black in color, they didn't have this maroon color. It is made for Cherokee, so it'll bolt right up to the existing holes, which is nice. But another problem that I have is this receiver latch. It's real flimsy. Now, both these receivers here in the seats are rigid, so I might have to modify something or just bolt it up like this. I'm not quite sure yet. I'll kind of brainstorm, but let's get to tearing off these interior panels. One thing I forgot to mention is the driver's side seatbelt has that electrical connection, so the dash will tell you when your seatbelt is plugged in or not. So since the new receiver hitch doesn't have one, there's no electrical connection for it. I think the light will always be on the dash. So this isn't the best solution, but it's better than what it is now. There it is. So the thought I had was pulling this whole seatbelt out of its receiver and maybe taking some of this rigid material, this stuff that's original to the seatbelt, and maybe cutting it off right here. That way it'll be rigid and it'll kind of look a little bit more original to the Jeep. So I hope I'm not making a mistake by cutting this up. After all, it kind of is a classic part to these Jeeps that you can't find anymore. Think that'll work? So this worked out better than I thought. It's pretty rigid now, and all these Jeep seats have these little bungees, so it keeps the seatbelt in place, which makes life a little bit easier. Now it doesn't have this connector, so I'm just gonna have to tuck this back in. I don't really like making that sensor inoperable, but it is what it is, I suppose. Well, this quickly spiraled out of control. So the original seatbelt here was torn, so I had to replace it with the eBay seatbelts. And I found out real quick that these eBay seatbelts aren't going to work. They said they were made for a Cherokee, and they're obviously not going to fit because the bracket isn't the same. The problem is this original seatbelt kind of bolts down here, and then it fits in this cavity inside the Jeep. The newer seatbelts don't have that, so this is junk, these are now junk, and I had to come up with a new plan. So I didn't want to do it, I didn't want to pay for it, I didn't want to go looking for them, but I had to do it. I had to go and hodgepodge something together just so I can complete this Jeep. So what I had to do was go find a seatbelt latch out of a Grand Cherokee. I think this is out of a 94. Then I had to find the right seatbelt out of a 98 XJ, and the latches had to match up, and that's how I was able to make it work. So now let's see if this original bolt will fit through this. Yeah, that'll work. But I'll bet you, since this came out of a Grand Cherokee, that this wiring won't even match up at all, because that'd be too easy. Nope. That's definitely not going to work. So it's still not going to have a working seatbelt light. That's okay. At this point, I'm kind of over all these seatbelts. Yeah. So you can see, guys, that's how it's supposed to fit. think that'll work. So the seatbelt's all done. Latches just fine. It retracts just fine. Unlatches from the buckle. So it works. I know it's gray. It doesn't look good in this red interior, but that's what I had to work with. So that's what it is, I suppose. Well, now that the whole seatbelt fiasco is over with, one of the last things I got to do is put on these emblems. This is what I'm going to be using. It's 3M stuff. It's plastic emblem and trim adhesive. First time using this stuff, but I have high hopes for it because all I was going to use is like some super glue, and so it's good to have a dedicated product for this task. Well guys, the Jeep is up for sale. And in fact, someone's coming to look at it in the next hour. So I just had to grab some footage of it the last couple moments and give it a proper send-off on the channel. So everything turned out exactly according to plan. Minus a couple things in the interior. But one thing I didn't show, guys, was how good this paint came back. This is what it looked like before. All faded, rough. You can hear that in the audio. Where this is just smooth as glass, and it's a little faded in spots, and you can kind of see the difference in color. But besides the fender right here, which is the ugliest part of the whole Jeep, you can actually see my reflection in this paint. So under all those years of oxidation with just being unused and soaking in the sun, the paint really had some potential underneath. The interior really did come back. Now I didn't show this on camera because I kind of rushed it, and so I apologize to everyone who likes seeing interior restorations on the channel, but all these seats came out perfect. The carpets are in near perfect condition. These seats are excellent. I usually like my interiors to be perfect, and the headliner's still sagging, but for what it is, it's not all that bad. The rear hatch here, carpets, again, in near perfect condition. Even has the spare tire here, the small donut with the original cover, in really great shape. The original Jeep wheels and these tires had about 80 to 90% tread left, so it really was a great addition to the Jeep to have original wheels, because it just keeps the original look of the whole Jeep. Original roof racks up top. The back hatch is in great shape. Put new shocks on here, so this lift gate opens up really well all by its own. Put one of these on. That was something I did off camera, but even sand kind of embedded in this shag carpet, for being 35 years old, it's about gonna get. Even had a tow hitch that I never used anything for, and I don't think I mentioned that it had a trailer hookup, a 4-pin. These 4x4 logos that I put on really tied the whole Jeep together. Kind of gives them a little bit of flair. It's original to the Jeep, and I think it looks great. Here's some more example of how good that paint is, how shiny. More Jeep wheels. All the doors worked. I didn't really have to mess with the doors besides the passenger lock over there. And even though the window motors are slow, they still work. Even under the seat, again, it came out so nice. I'm not looking to toot my own horn here, but I'm just really thankful that the Jeep didn't take that much work compared to other projects. For the driver's side here, everything was pretty easy going. There was a small hole here in the seat that I didn't fix. Again, that small cigarette burn, not a big deal. This handle was broken when I bought the Jeep, so I just JB welded it, and it works great now. And I didn't mention this when I first bought it, that there was a hole in the carpet here, so that's what this floor mat's for, just to kind of keep it from wearing any further. Again, not worth replacing the whole carpet just for one little hole. But everything under here, everything over here, looks like it needed to vacuum a little bit better. Now it's perfect. But e-brake works, four-wheel drive works. With the engine bay, it's still kind of dirty in here, and everything's kind of old, you know, for being 35 years old, but it really did come back to life, because this Jeep sat dormant for 8 years, and to see it back to its former glory, I'm really thankful for it. And it was a really fun project while it lasted. But if these people come in about an hour to come buy this Jeep, I think it's going to go to a really good home. All right, so I'm still editing while I'm making this clip, and it's about 9 o'clock at night, so I'm going to try and talk in complete sentences here. But the Jeep sold. It sold about an hour after I filmed that last clip of the Jeep. The people drove about an hour and a half away from my house to here, and they looked it over for about 30 minutes, and they decided they wanted it. They've been looking for a Jeep Cherokee for quite a while, and they gave me a full price offer on it. It was only on Craigslist for a day, and it sounds like it's going to a really good home, guys, because they're going to take really good care of it. But I think they were talking about giving it a paint job, doing some odds and ends that I didn't want to do myself. And so it feels good that it's going to kind of live on for many years to come, instead of just bashed up in the mountains and destroyed in 6 months. So that project's officially over. Next, I'm going to be working on the Power Stroke here. Going to fill you in on a video about a week from now, kind of give you some insight on what I found out off camera. Some good news, some not so good news. Yeah, I'll get into it later. But also, I'm a little late, but I want to say thank you to everyone who's helped me reach over 3,000 subscribers on the channel. Obviously, I couldn't have done it without you guys. But also, you guys have kept the comment section so clean. You've given me helpful hints and tips. I've had a YouTube channel for over 4 years now. I started May 1st of 2019. I have almost 100 videos on the channel. I think I've only gotten one negative comment on my entire YouTube career. So to everyone, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. Because if it was just a bunch of negative, kind of toxic environment in the comment section, it wouldn't really make it worth it to keep coming back and make videos. So I really do mean it, guys. Thank you so much. And before I go, what would you like to see next? I want to finish the Power Stroke. I'm going to force myself to finish that truck. Would you guys like to see more diesel content, old trucks, new trucks, SUVs, off-road stuff? Let me know down in the comment section below, and it might kind of jog my mind of some cool projects for the future. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks again for helping me reach those awesome milestones on the channel, and hope to see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. See you later.